Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer. Post positions are out for the Run for the Roses. Let's take a look at the field for the 2022 Kentucky Derby. 22 entered, 20 will run, 2 also eligibles. Mike, we do this video every year. I ask you what you think of the post positions. You say it's all overhyped and overblown.
Yeah, I don't handicap races that way, Dan, and I certainly don't look at the Kentucky Derby as a race where one post is necessarily a disaster, while another one is a great place to be. It's a 20-horse field; anything can happen. Trouble can find you from any post position, be it inside or outside or in the middle. And I just personally don't spend a lot of time, wringing my hands over where horses drew.
So you're saying basically that the 0 for 42 post position stat for post position 17 since the starting gate was instituted in the Kentucky Derby in 1930, it shouldn't shake you off Classic Causeway if you like them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Unless you want to try to convince me of the error of my ways and tell me a reason why post 17 is a bad place to be.
Let's talk about number 1, however, because a lot of folks do believe that number 1 is not a great post position in the Kentucky Derby. Ferdinand, the last winner in 1986. There have been plenty of winners from post position 1, just not recently. And the horse that drew the rail this year is Mo Donegal, the winner of the Wood Memorial. Now, this horse has some tactical speed. He's more of a late runner, and because of that, with the crush of horses trying to move in, passing the stands the first time in order to get position, there's a good chance that Mo Donegal is in behind a lot of horses and really has to work out a trip.
Yeah, that's definitely true. It's going to be up to Irad to, try to make sure that this horse doesn't get, totally shuffled out of the race, because that could certainly happen from post 1, especially with a horse like Mo Donegal, who's not, super fast out of the gate. So we'll see if it, really affects him personally. As someone who, really likes Mo Donegal and thinks that he's a major player in this race, being drawn into post 1 with a lot of people feeling like that's just a terrible post and he can't win from there, I feel like I'll take the positive view of it, Dan, and maybe it'll add a couple of points onto my price.
Let's talk a little bit about the pace horses and where they drew. Do you believe that the number 4, Summer is Tomorrow, who is 30 to 1 on the morning line and was the pace setter in the UAE Derby, do you believe he's fast enough to be a pace factor? The pace he's likely to face on Saturday, likely to be quicker than anything he saw in Dubai.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's going to be a lot harder for them, unless that's just their plan coming in, Dan, is to be, sort of on ascend from the gate and try to get forward. If that's not their plan, I just feel like there are faster horses than him in this race, and I don't really see him being, part of that leading group into the first turn.
Joel Rosario has Epicenter, a horse that has shown good speed in the past, and breaking from post position 3. I have a feeling that Rosario is going to want to utilize that speed to avoid that crush of horses getting, drifting inwards, passing the stands the first time. I think Rosario is going to be very aggressive leading the gate and then let Epicenter find his stride.
Yeah, he probably doesn't really have much of a choice, Dan. He didn't draw, I guess, for a horse like him being drawn in post 3 with a stack of horses to his outside. He doesn't really have time to fool around from the gate. He's going to have to go forward and get positioned. And then we'll just see what he can work out, because he's obviously talented. He's one of the favorites in this race, and certainly one of the 3-year-olds with the best chance to win it. But he's also a horse who's, coming off of 2 pretty easy wins with pretty soft trips. And that's probably not going to be the case on Saturday.
I'm guessing Chad Brown is content with the post position for the number 10, Zandon, your morning line favorite. This is a horse that might have benefited greatly from the experience in the Bluegrass, a race in which he was held up in behind horses and he still was able to find his way through. That could be the case in the Derby in a big field. It's nice to know he has that sort of experience. And if unfortunately we get a wet track on Saturday, that shouldn't be a problem for him either.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like that Bluegrass was a real nice learning experience for a horse who's just shown a lot of talent from day 1, Dan. But, for the most part, he's had his all of his trips have been sort of out in the clear. They sprinted him on his debut, and he did get trapped behind horses in the stretch of that race. He overcame it. He won comfortably. And he did the same thing in the Bluegrass last time. I think that experience is really going to serve him well.
Strategy for a horse like Simplification, the 13, a horse that has shown good speed in his career. but kind of found a new dimension in his last few starts. Do you think they go back to try to show that speed and get away from the possibility of being in behind horses? Or again, do you just simply play the break and see how it goes?
Yeah, I don't see how you can do it any other way. I mean, it's nice to go in and have the plan about where you want to be and what you think the right running style for your horse is. As far as simplification goes, he's already kind of shown that he can do it both ways, Dan. He's been a horse who hasn't always gotten out of the gate all that great. So, that's something that they're going to have to hope to avoid. But, he has also shown in the past that when he doesn't break great, he can overcome it. And so that's a good thing for him.
Let's talk about the 1-2 finishers of the Santa Anita Derby. The brilliant yet inexperienced Taiba, the number 12, Messier, the number 6. Taiba, Mike, is a horse that has really never been in behind horses in his career. That's where the inexperience could work against him. I'm assuming Mike Smith's got to be somewhat aggressive getting out of there and at least try to get him into the clear. He is fast. We saw that in his debut.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, of all the horses in this, 20 horse Kentucky Derby field, he's the one that you probably worry about the most, especially that first run through the stretches they head to the first turn, because it's going to be very important for him to get position in this race. We already know how talented he is. He's really fast. He's run very impressively in both of his starts so far. But now he's stepping into a huge field of horses. He's going to be surrounded in that first run through the stretch. And Mike Smith's going to have to get this horse into a comfortable position because his lack of experience could really work against him here.
He'll be trying to become the first Derby winner from post 12 since your favorite, Canonero II, in 1971. As for Messier, I think John Velasquez is going to be very aggressive going out of there. I think he knows that Epicenter is going to show some speed. I think he knows that Classic Causeway is going to show some speed. And I think the key to Messier, who's kind of a big, strong horse, is get him out of there, get him into a good rhythm, and hopefully get him in the clear.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's probably true, Dan. I don't really know what you're going to get from him. He's another horse. He's got an awful lot of talent. He's also, found a way to disappoint a few times already in his career. He's fast. They could go forward if they wanted to. He has shown also, though, that he can sit a little bit off of other horses and still finish very powerfully. It probably is all about trip for Messier. Get him comfortable, try to get him into the clear, and then just hope he shows up and runs one of his good races.
I think Cyberknife actually drew well in 16 because he seems like a very difficult horse to ride. I think he might freak out if he was in behind a lot of horses after drawing an inside post. Drawing outside might allow him to relax a little bit and get into a comfort zone.
That's a good point. I'll definitely agree with that. I do like the fact that in his most recent start, when he, got the points to get into this race by winning the Arkansas Derby, I like that he made an early move in there, and I like that he did it between horses, sort of got himself in a little bit tight on the backstretch, and he was okay with that. He wound up winning that race very easily at the end. You're right. He's been a work in progress for Brad Cox right from the start. He's very green in his races, but it does feel like he's starting to overcome those things.
Likewise, I believe White Barrio drew perfectly in post position 15 because this horse has the running style to do it anyway. He can win from on the lead. He can win in pace prompting fashion. He can win from mid pack. And drawing post 15 allows Tyler, who just excels at Churchill Downs, to get this horse out of the gate and into a good forward position.
Yeah, and they might want to keep him in the clear too. We talked about him a little bit, Dan, in the lead up to this race. There was only one start so far in his career where he was sort of put over behind horses and taken some dirt. And it also happens to be the only time that he ever lost a race. So it might be imperative for Tyler to get this horse forward and keep him out in the clear.
Quick question about the 17 Classic Causeway, the 19 Zozos. Both of these horses have speed. Both drew outside post positions. Are those two on ascend?
Classic Causeway's got to go. I don't see, why they would. They weren't even going to run in this race as of a couple of weeks ago. They've changed their minds and they're going to run here now. And this is a horse who's just used his speed in every one of his races so far. They got to go to the front with that horse and see if he can wire the field. Zozos, might have a few more options, but he's just so lightly raced, Dan. It feels like there's a lot working against him. Not only just stepping up into the Derby against 19 other horses, but doing so in a race that might have a fast pace, because in his most recent start, the pace just wasn't fast at all, and he was still no match for Epicenter.
22 entered the 2022 Kentucky Derby. Of course, 20 will run. Zandon for Chad Brown is your 3-1 morning line favorite. He drew post position 10. Stay tuned to DRF TV for all of the analysis and selections this week.